What's up, everybody? So I got my software and we're good to go. Uh, See a few of you in here, hang out for a little bit. I haven't really come up with any content. I was kind of having some technical difficulties with this program since I went ahead and purchased it. It's kind of giving me a hard time. I think there were some changes to the YouTube's live system or something, and now you have to do something different. It took me a few minutes to figure it out there. 93, Justin, welcome aboard. Like I said, I'm at this truck stop, and I got tired and fell asleep for a couple of hours and didn't really take a bunch of time to come up with some content for this. I'll do something better on the next one. But one thing that I did want to touch on is that I made that video the other day about true will and the great work. And I felt, after I watched it, I felt like I kind of sold a couple things short when I was talking about true will. You know, I talked about how it's not a supernatural thing, and how I always tend to make this comparison about somebody being a doctor, about like you decided that you want to be a doctor, and that could be considered your true will or your goal. And I kind of wanted to just expand that just a little bit and say that that's more like the process of being a doctor, becoming a doctor, and then being a doctor would be more like your will, whereas your true will would relate to that, like you wanted to help people, you wanted to heal people. So it just seemed kind of, I don't know, kind of an oversimplification to use the profession of being a doctor as a true will, when more the true will would be something that you aspire to on a higher level, like I said, that you want to heal people or you want to help people, and being a doctor, you know, would be part of pursuing that will, whereas it could be pursued in many other ways. So the will aspect of it, the going to school to become a doctor and being a practicing doctor, could change at any moment to facilitate that true will of healing people and helping people. You could change your mind, you know, in 5 years and decide you wanted to, you know, enter some other type of field that helps people. I don't know. I just kind of thought I'd throw that out there. Every time I see that doctor reference that I tend to make, I feel like that's an oversimplification. So how's everybody doing? Man, I spent a lot of money to get this software going. It hurt. I mean, you know, I had it to spare, but it hurt. I wanted to do some live streams, some more live streams between that last one and now, but the free trial had run out on this software, and it was going to cost me $350 I spent on it, and that's just for the 1080p version, which I can only do 720 on this webcam, but the 4K version is like $1,000 or something. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't very well just get the $60 one because the resolution and the options and stuff just really suck on it. Working like a dog, huh? Yeah, me too, man. Except I kind of had a lull there. I went in for home time a couple of weeks ago. It was actually like 4 weeks ago. I went in for home time, and about 6 months ago, somebody had run into the side of my truck in a truck stop, backed into it, trying to get into a space next to me, and they had been telling me to get it fixed, and you know, and I kept writing it up, and they never did anything. So this last time I came in, they said, okay, we're going to fix it this time. Well, I was already taking 5 days off instead of 4, and they got me there 2 days early. So I was supposed to come back on like a Wednesday. I'm supposed to come back and go back to work. And come to find out, they didn't authorize the repairs on my truck until that Tuesday. So then it was just a big fiasco. And anyway, I ended up having to take 2 weeks off. And it kind of hurt. You know, and that was another thing that slowed me down on buying this software, is that like when I first went in, I spent a bunch of money, you know, like $300 to get my sunglasses, and you know, I spent most of my wad, And then when I'm ready to go back to work, they're telling me, oh, well, it's not ready yet. And I ended up being there like another 7 days, staying in a hotel, you know, spending money and not really making any money. I did complain to them, and they doubled my breakdown pay, but still, it doesn't compare to actually working. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. But I'm pretty much caught back up now and was able to buy the software. So now I have the software at my disposal permanently. So I can't promise that I'll be doing a ton of live streams. You know, it's pretty difficult to, you know, like I've said in the other ones, I have to be in the right spot and have good internet access on a day that I have time. It's not really easy out here on the road. It's just, it is what it is. So let's see. Still 4 of you guys in here. Oh, 13. We got 13. How you guys doing? You guys give me something to talk about. You got any questions? Now, be aware that there at the bottom, you can click that little dollar sign and throw me a super chat. And not only will your question definitely get answered if you send a super chat, but it would really help me out since I spent all the money on this software today. I actually, on 4th of July, guys. Hi, Slave Lucy. Hi, Rise. On 4th of July, I went and saw my parents, which actually was the first time I had really spent any time with them in about 10 years. And I filmed some new super chat things. I don't know if you guys have all watched my other live streams, but the very first time I did a live stream, I was like, throw me a super chat and I'll make some fireworks. And so kind of in my mind, fireworks is associated with it. So, you know, I've got the little, this little thing here that I play whenever I get a super chat. Well, on 4th of July, I was able to actually film some clips. I haven't been able to put them together yet, but I actually was able to film some clips of me popping off fireworks and some of my family popping off fireworks that I'm going to turn into new super chat bumpers. What are my thoughts on the Golden Dawn? Well, I mean, are we talking about old school modern dawn, or are we talking about the modern Golden Dawn? It's Crowley Mass. I should have said that first thing. Happy Crowley Mass, everybody. It is Crowley's birthday today. Well, just on the Golden Dawn question, you know, I think that the Golden Dawn was more of an old Eon system of magic, and I think that Thilima is Crowley's attempt to update that stuff to bring it into the new Eon. The modern Golden Dawn, you know, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I know there's a lot of different groups, but the one that David Griffin runs, you know, he's a nutcase, crazy person, and I wouldn't be involved with anything that dude's associated with. He's crazy. 32, man. 32. 93. I'm from Switzerland. Who spelled achieved wrong? Oh, shit. There we go. Justin Lloyd with a $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Man, I really want to get those other clips sorted out. They're actually taking up a bunch of space in my phone. The only problem was my niece filmed the big finale super chat thing that I did, and she filmed it with the camera up and down, so it's not going to like fill the screen and everything, but I'm still going to make it happen. I spent like a ton of money on fireworks on 4th of July, and we had this huge finale. It was nice. It was nice. Thanks a lot for the super chat, man. It's going to take a lot of $5 to make up that $350 I just laid down, but man, every bit counts. Dawn, I knew that meant 90. I knew you meant 93 there. What are we laughing at? Just check something here. So one thing about this software is it's not really super easy, no matter what you do, to view the chat while you have the software up. I mean, you have to like pop it out and keep it on top, and then if you want to go check and see how many people in the room, you have to like go back to Chrome and then like set everything back up. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but Current 93, I never really could get into Current 93 that much. You know, they had, I guess the stuff is cool for what it was, or was. I'm not sure if they're still making stuff or not. But yeah. Need to rearrange my windows. Yeah, no, it's that it has to be on multiple different things. So I need to be able to see the software. I can't really show you what it looks like in order to like pop in and out the bumpers, and I need to have this part up, and then I have to click on the chat so I can read the chat. But then if I want to go look and see how many people are in here and stuff, I have to actually go back to the YouTube software. It's, I don't know, not a big deal. Just kind of seems like it could be made a little easier. I guess if you're using the YouTube software, it's pretty easy, but like, you know, you can't do cool stuff like that through the YouTube software, you know, or easily pop in bumpers or whatever. It just doesn't make it as easy. Right before I had all the technical difficulties, I was trying to think of a story to tell you guys, and I'll probably come up with something before it's over with. I like to try to do story time, something from back in the day, on every episode. And I loved Strange Angel. I can't believe that they canceled it. It was a fantastic show, man. If anybody out there hasn't seen Strange Angel and can get their hands on it, should definitely go check out the show Strange Angel, about Jack Parsons, and it's got all kinds of OTO stuff in it. I mean, it's you know, somewhat inaccurate, but it is also somewhat accurate in some ways, and it was a badass show, man. I can't believe they got rid of it. I was in a Facebook group for it and everything. Tell us how I started Antholimo. Well, I've told this story before on the internet, but I'll tell it again. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more in detail about it. Well, I guess, oh, I see what I did. I'm still learning this software, guys. Let's try this again. Who are you? What will you do? You the righteous one. You the needed one. So, story time about how I got into Thilima. Well, back in 1994, I met some guys about 1991, and we had a little coven. We were doing Wiccan stuff and running around acting like we were little Van Helsings and stuff, you know. And then one of my friends, we'll just call him D, he ended up eventually around 1994 moving. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, and he ended up moving to San Antonio, Texas, and he was there for a while, and I moved with a friend of mine to Galveston, And that didn't work out, and I was talking to D, and we decided that I could move down there with him. So I packed up all my stuff in my 77 Camaro and drove all the way to San Antonio from Galveston and moved in with D. I almost said his name. And so at that point, we were still kind of involved in Wicca. We had, we were still, I think I was 20, and we were still, weren't really all that into ceremonial magic at the time. And on New Year's Eve, that'd be New Year's Eve on the cusp of 1995, we went to the Riverwalk in San Antonio. And the Riverwalk, it's a Riverwalk. There's all kinds of restaurants and stuff, and it's got this river with boats in it and stuff that goes up, down through there. It's like a popular place to hang out there. Anyway, New Year's Eve, we go to the Riverwalk, and we meet these chicks. And I can't for the life of me remember their names or anything like that, but we ended up bringing them back to our apartment. And when they came back to the apartment and saw our bookshelf with all our occult books, and we had a big altar set up and stuff, and when they saw that stuff, they were like, "Hey, we know this guy we've got to introduce you to." And we were like, "Okay." So they hooked us up with this guy who we'll call B. Now B was involved in a study group there, a Thilimic study group, and they were in the process of submitting their charter to become an OTO body. And they had they were doing ritual workshops, and they were doing study groups, and there was we would read books and then discuss them, and and then that's not talking about the discussion group. It was like a book club type thing that we did also. And so we got heavily involved in that. We were going 2-3 times a week, and then also these people would go and drive to Austin, which is about a 2-hour drive from San Antonio. And so we would go to Austin about every 2 weeks and go to the Gnostic Mass at Scarlet Woman Lodge in Austin. So that's kind of where I found Thilima. The first time that I read Liber Oz, I read the Book of the Law and Liber Oz right during that time. And the first time that I read Liber Oz, I was like, that's how I've lived my whole life. So it hooked me. At that point, early on, I took some issue with some of the things in the Book of the Law early on, which I think a lot of people do because, it's something that takes a long time to gain more of an understanding of. But at any rate, it was sometime during 1995, D and myself both went and took our Minerval initiations at Scarlet Woman Lodge in Austin, Texas. And that's 25 years ago. And then subsequently, we were going to masses every couple weeks and study groups and ritual workshops and stuff all the time, constantly for a period of, probably a year. And we went to this one big Thelemic festival called the Thelemic Retreat, and that's where I got baptized into EGC, and that was a whole fun time in and of itself. And yeah, I've been a Thelemite ever since. OTO has been kind of, I moved back to Fort Worth and kind of disconnected from OTO for quite some time, and then reconnected at a certain point, but I was still a Thelemite throughout all that period. And during the interim in between when I was in San Antonio, and then between then and when I reconnected with the order, I was blending stuff from my roots, like Wicca and stuff, with Thilima, and kind of blending that stuff together for quite some time. I always still considered myself a Thelemite, but I was just doing different things magically. Still doing Thelemic stuff, but I was also incorporating Wiccan stuff into it. And still kind of when I write big rituals and group rituals, I still kind of incorporate some of that stuff into it, just because it's my roots and it's what I know. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started, guys. And then I really hit it hard in 2006 or 2007 when I really reconnected with the order on a big scale, and just never looked back from there until a few years ago, I kind of slowed down, and then you guys are probably aware of a lot of the drama that's been taking place over the last few years. That kind of has me, I don't know if I'd say on the fence, but I'm kind of just not really participating right now in OTO. I still love the system. I just think that there's problems with how it's being implemented right now. And in truth, there always has been issues. I mean, you're going to have issues in any organization you belong to, but you can just only kind of make that excuse for so long, basically. Barry B. Benson thinks I'm cool. Thank you, sir. I'm just a regular old-ass dude, old truck driver, out here on the road. This is something to help keep me sane. Say it again, and I'm going to say it a bunch of times throughout this. The super chat button is open. Send me a couple bucks. I just spent $350 on this software. And, I don't do a lot of live streaming, so, yeah. Help me recoup my $350, guys. If you make a super chat, your question will be 100% answered to the best of my ability. And you get guaranteed an answer if you throw it in the super chat box when you do it. I believe it's a $sign down at the bottom of the chat there. Just take a second here. And how many people we got in here now? 17 people. Man, some of those big channels get like 500 people in their live streams. It's crazy. One of these days, guys. I wish it would actually let me see who is in here. Seems like that would be, participants. It will show me. Okay. I don't think I could do that with the old system. They've revamped the live stream stuff on YouTube. It actually caused me to have some technical difficulties in the beginning here. How's the audio sound? I had to completely reconstruct the audio, and this program allows me to put compressors and all kinds of stuff. 93, Zan. Let's see, did I miss any? Let's see. Sounds great. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Rise, man, I have no idea what any of that is. Frater, Ubique, Daemon, Ubique, Deus, Ice Magic. Not a clue, bro. Not a clue what any of it. LOT, IoT. LOT, IoT? I don't know any. I don't have any information for you about that either. I apologize. I hear you, Don Hub. I've looked into Streamlabs and all that, and it's just more complicated than I'm willing to deal with. I used to try streaming some games and stuff with OBS and looked into Streamlabs. I'm willing to to let YouTube have a little cut. YouTube's been good to me, guys, and they deserve to make some money. I mean, I'm not making squat off of this channel anyway. I mean, I might get a little small check every couple of months. Super small, guys. But, I mean, as far as, like, putting myself out and having to do all kinds of, learn all kinds of software to save a little money, it's not all about the money for me. I mean, sure, I would like to eventually be able to make some money off of it. I mean, who wouldn't? I'd like to be able to pay off this $350 I just spent, or all the other money that I've spent. I mean, on the lighting and stuff. I had to do some pretty crazy stuff to get it to work in this truck. I mean, I'm on the road, so I'm streaming through my phone's mobile hotspot is the internet that I use. And, I've got a really expensive laptop, but I didn't buy that just for this. I bought it mostly for music. and then lighting and stuff. You know, I've spent quite a bit, and then I had to buy myself a chair specifically for this and a table specifically for this and pack it in this little bitty ass truck. You just sold $800 worth of stuff. Nice. Shoot me a super chat then. Sound like you're loaded. I might get some of that from you if I could, if I wasn't regulated by the Department of Transportation. I swear to God, they drug tested me. They didn't drug test me this last time. But before that, the last 3 times I came in for home time, they hit me. Frater Ego Solus, 93, sir. Man, don't get me fucking started on the AA. Now, I've been trying to make a video about it. I tried again the other day to sit down and make a video on the AA. More people want views on the AA. Okay. Let's talk about the AA. First of all, I want to say that the AA system itself is a valid, good system, okay? And I think that even in the state that it's in now, which is ridiculous, people are still getting benefit from it. Okay, people still benefiting from it. I know lots of people who are involved in the AA, and they all like it, and many of them are in different lines, lineages, claimant groups, whatever you want to call them, of AA, and most of them are happy with what they're getting in those. But AA is a mess, guys. It's a mess, and it is, to be fair, in a better place than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago. Mostly because one certain AA claimant group kind of shut up in public. Or maybe I just blocked them and I just don't see it. But there for a while, the Gunther AA, the one that is pushed by the OTO, was just really out there just on that kick about how they're the one true AA and all this stuff. And I got to tell you, if there is one, like, of the main claimant groups that I would say is not the one true AA, it's the Gunther group. I mean, that, you know, Moda was never the boss in AA. Moda, Carl Germer told him, why did you put your name on that imprimatur? You're a neophyte at best. And that was not long before he died. And, you know, Germer is the one who screwed up AA, okay? When Crowley giving control of OTO and AA to Germer was a huge mistake in retrospect. He had a lot of respect for the guy, and I'm not going to say that I don't have respect for Carl Germer, but what I will say is that when he was in control of AA and OTO, he didn't do anything with it. He probably did more in AA than he did OTO. But if it weren't for the fact that Crowley wrote the Caliphate letters to Grady McMurtry, OTO probably would have died on the back of Carl Germer. And when Carl Germer died, he left no successor to AA. And so it's just a huge problem, because what that causes is you've got all of these lines, these teacher-student lines, with no leadership. Because the way the leadership is passed in AA, it's passed directly from person to person. It says in Liber Causae, it says that they readied the space and the secret chiefs gave them authority to start the AA, and in turn that authority was to be passed directly from person to person. It says that. And Crowley did that with Germer. He passed it to Germer. But when Germer died, he passed it to no one. So the authority of the secret chiefs, the spiritual authority of the AA, died with Carl Germer. And so everything that we have now is all just based on the teacher-students lines that were in existence when Carl Germer died. And so it makes it a big mess, because you don't have one central leadership triad running the whole thing with the authority of the secret chiefs. What you have is these disparate AA groups that have created their own leadership triads, none of which are connected to the secret chiefs. They have not been given the authority of the secret chiefs. So they're all every AA is just as invalid as the next. Now, some are, you might say, more valid in the sense that they actually have lineages that stem straight back to Crowley. Some do not. Gunther AA would be one of those. I mean, you can in some way trace a line back to Crowley, obviously, but it's just so broken that there's really issues with it. Anyway, you guys got me started on AA. Here's my thoughts on the AA. You can succeed in that system. You just kind of have to do your research and pick one that suits your nature. Okay? Lots of people in the Gunther AA that enjoy it and do well. Lots of people in Shoemaker's AA, people in Jim Eshelman's AA, people in Jerry Cornelius's AA in one form or another, and there are people in all of those systems that are happy with it. Frater Orpheus, did I keep that image in here? Frater Orpheus is also connected to the Grady McMurtry AA through Jerry Cornelius, but he and Cornelius had a fallout, and so Orpheus also comes from the Grady McMurtry line. But I think that guy really has his head on straight and is doing a good job. I don't know if he's taking students right now. And then also David Shoemaker. I've met David in person many times or several times, and he's a really cool dude, and he really has his head on straight. So if I had to recommend a line of AA, it would either be David Shoemaker or which is a Phyllis Seckler line, or the Grady McMurtry line through Frater Orpheus. Like I said, the Gunther group has a lot of issues, in my opinion. It stems through Moda, who was a nutcase in his own right. And, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it seems. I know some people that are really level-headed and stuff involved in that line, but I also, like most of the douchebags, are involved in that line. Sorry, guys. But there's also, like I say, a lot of good people in that line, too, who do well there. But it just seems like all the douchebags are attracted to that line for some reason. And I don't know if one is a product of the other, or if they're just attracted there, or what. But I have all these issues with them. I'm losing track of all the comments. I'll go through and try to pick out a couple. If you throw me a super chat and help me make up this $350 I spent on this software, and put a question in the super chat box, your question goes to the top of the line. Kind of going through the comments here. What's my opinion on Robert Anton Wilson? He was a really cool dude. He wrote some cool material. I believe he used to lecture and stuff. Yeah, really cool dude. Kind of odd, a lot of us are. He had a lot of odd stuff. He if I recall correctly, he was really into like Cosmic Trigger and, Leary's work and stuff. Which, I don't know if you've ever had any experience with that, but Leary's work is kind of tripped out. When groups divide because of different points of view, time to pack up and leave. Well, if we're talking about AA still, I wouldn't necessarily say that there are a lot of different points of view, like from a Thilimic context. I just think that there was no leadership, no central leadership when Germer died, and so these teacher-student lines just kept operating. I mean, what else would they do? They just kept operating. And then so over time, by the time we hit, the 80s and into the 90s and stuff, you've got these lines that have been independently operating with no real leadership for a decade, And so how do you resolve that? I mean, when you've got these lines who have created their own triads and stuff, how do you how do you get them to come together and say, okay, I abdicate and you're the real guy? You know, I mean, it's just a difficult thing to do for anybody. Yeah, Cosmic Trigger. I just meant that he was really inspired by Timothy Leary's work, by Leary's work. Yeah, Zan, that is a thing. It always has been, power struggles. Uh, for those watching later, he said he also finds that many magic or otherwise spiritual groups many times fall apart due to inner fallouts, jealousy, power struggles. Kind of ironic, huh? Well, you know, it's been happening forever, you know, since the days of the Golden Dawn and before, and it'll be doing that forever. And the AA struggle in and of itself caused a lot of problems in the OTO. Makes it turbulent in the upper, like lovers triad and stuff that I'm not a part of, and I'm not really privy to, but I do know that it causes a lot of struggles up there. And you know, there have been people who've made the claim that if you're not a member of the Gunther AA, you're not getting advanced. But then at the same time, David Shoemaker gets advanced, and he's got his own line. So, you know, it's kind of hard to tell where the thought process is up there. But I do know that, like in Australia and in some other countries, Australia in particular, that I have had someone tell me directly that if you even mention another AA besides the Gunther AA, you're in trouble. So, you know, when, you know, it just seems wrong to me because, you know, Moda published that Gunther withdrew from AA, and, you know, all his students left him, and creates this big break. And then even if you just look at it as a teacher-student line, because Moda definitely was a student of AA, but they try to claim that he was leader of AA when there's no evidence to backed up that claim, you know. And there's no evidence beyond that he ever said that Gunther would be the leader. I mean, if anything, probably, what's his name? The CastleTower.org guy. He ran Soto, which was Moda's OTO, and, you know, that AA, David Burson, for a long time. I don't know what that guy's doing anymore. But if anybody would have been Moda's successor, it probably would have been him, not Gunther. And there was even a lot of stuff on his old website talking about because there was, Moda published that Gunther withdrew from the AA and was expelled from OTO for plotting to murder his hierarchical superior. And there was a bunch of, like, actually firsthand stories of that stuff that he wrote about, Burson wrote about on his site years ago. What's up, little Kent? This guy works for the same company as I do. We met at a hotel, actually, while I was on that long stint because my truck was down, I was talking about. And we ended up getting to talking. He's a musician also, and I showed him some of my stuff, and he subscribed. What's up, man? Oh my God, with the EA coding, why do I get questions about that every time? Scam artist, EA coding, crazy dude, dope fiend, scam artist. But you got to give him props. He's making money off of it. You know what I mean? I mean, he's charging, like, I don't know. It's like crazy amounts to teach people magic. This is his system or whatever. It's like crazy. Don't even get me started on it. He's a nut job. Do not buy his stuff. Do not buy into his system. You already are a living God. And are you talking about in AA, Zan? When you ask, can the authorities who decide if you'll advance or not even prove their own knowledge and capabilities? If you are talking about that, they prove it by virtue of the fact that they've already done it. That's the way the AA system works. You know, it's not like, I mean, there are some supernatural things, you know, that you're tested on, but you know, it's rigorous as far as reading lists and being tested on those, and then particular practices and being tested on those. You don't advance until you push through those tests. So if you're assigned a superior who is in the grade above you, which is typically how it works, then that you're assigned that person because that person has passed the tests that you're going to be expected to pass. And that's kind of part of the reason why I'm not so interested in joining the AA anymore myself, because I did all that stuff for so many years that I feel like I'd be starting all over, and I'm too old for it. It's a young man's game, all that, you know, hours of asana every day and pranayama and all that stuff, you know, it's a young man's game. I'd break my hip. And, you know, I spoke to one line, and they said that I wouldn't have to like start from the bottom because of, you know, because of the fact that you know, it's obvious that I've been doing this forever, but you know, it's still difficult for me to make a choice because of just, you know, how messed up the system is right now, the politics of it. Good evening, Michael. I'm sorry if I missed you guys in here talking. I'm going to go through and see if I can find another question. Once again, I just spent $350 on this software, so go down to the bottom and click that little $sign. Shoot me a little super chat. I'll be able to play you some fireworks, and maybe I'll start to recoup a little bit of the money that I've spent on all this. Explain the difference between AA and OTO. Okay, well, Muam Walker, can I please explain the difference between AA and OTO? I just became a student. Thank you. Okay, Crowley had two main magical orders, OTO and AA. AA is more like a teacher-student relationship where you have a teacher, that teacher assigns you certain practices, then they test you on those practices. And it is more of a teaching order. And it is more solitary in the sense that you're supposed to be journaling and doing your own work at home and journaling it all and sending it to your superior so that they can gauge your work and decide when you're ready for advancement, etc., etc. Okay, OTO, on the other hand, is the other side of the coin. OTO is the social group. So a lot of people would say that you can reach the same goals through either organization, or they also work well in concert with one another, because the OTO is more like you're going to go and you're going to have group rituals, you're going to go to the Gnostic Mass with a bunch of other people, you're going to have social events, study groups, workshops, just general parties and hanging out, socializing. So basically, OTO is the creation of a Thelemic society, an experiment in Thelemic society, whereas AA is focused on your personal work. And you'll find in the OTO oftentimes that these two things are also kind of separated out. You know, Thilima is a very solitary type of thing when it comes to the work itself. And so people will go to OTO and do all their social stuff and everything and then go home and do their work, and they don't necessarily discuss that at OTO. You know, I personally am the type of person that likes to kind of keep my personal work to myself, and OTO has always been an outlet for me to promulgate, to spread that, to help others like learn more, and to, you know, administer the virtues to the brethren through the Gnostic Mass, and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that makes sense. It's okay, Zan. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat not being able to donate. You know, I don't do this for the money. It would be nice to recoup that $350, and I always love to play my super chat bumper. But and especially once I get these new ones, I got some pretty cool ones. I got one that's like if somebody gives me $1 or something like that, that's like my sister and my cousin, and they just have sparklers, and they're going super chat. And then I've got a big finale one for you know. I went all out and played with it. I just haven't sat down and actually turned them into little videos to be placed on here yet. No problem, Mr. Walker, Miss Walker, Muum. Zan, I'm not like totally a Timothy Leary buff. I read one of his books, and I also read Cosmic Trigger, and you know the two are kind of related in some ways. I, I mean, he was big on experimenting with LSD and stuff, and you know I got no problem with that. I think that there could definitely be benefits. I've done paper acid a lot in my youth, so you know, I'm no stranger to it, and I definitely think that there are some possibilities for it to expand the mind, to maybe even like, I think that some things like PTSD and some of these disorders could be potentially, it could potentially be a cure or at least a relief for it if used correctly and stuff. I definitely think that entheogens are mind expanding in the right situation. In other situations, they can be extremely dangerous and horrifying, etc. I've been in both types of situations over the years. M. Sorry about that. Yeah, you know how it is. Huge dong, huh? Okie dokie. Very good singing voice. Who? Robert Anton Wilson? Timothy Leary? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I try. My son's got a really awesome singing voice. You know, I may try to throw a song up here on the next time I do this. Show you my son's stuff. So proud of my son. He's about to turn 18. He's been making like electronic music for a long time, like making beats and selling beats and stuff like that. And he's recently started working with these different collectives, and he's in this collective now that figured out that he has a good voice and has started asking him to put vocals on stuff. And man, they're just coming out so good. And some of the stuff that he does just on his own is really good. You know, I'm super proud of where his music has taken him. I certainly would never want to have an LSD state become a primary state of consciousness. I don't know if you've ever done acid, but yeah, you don't want to be like that all the time for sure. I promise you. Uh, you know, the slightest thing can set you off on a bad trip. I've been on a couple of bad trips in my day. You know, I beat this friend of mine up so bad that he never spoke to me again once. I've been down some bad trips, and it's best for it to be a really controlled environment. You definitely don't want to try to interject that into daily life. I know that some people do walk around on acid or have, or they have microdosing and stuff like that, but I would not say that a heavy acid trip is something that you want to be walking around the regular world doing, for sure. Lovecraft, good stories. Not real. Fantasy. Sci-fi. Yeah, Grant tried to turn it into reality, but yeah, it's just stories. And, a lot of people like his stories. Competing in a smoking competition, I will win. I'm holding back. I'm like coaxing you toward the finish line. I'm holding back. Why you retracted messages? You talking about dongs again? Come on, man. Okay, Joseph, you're fixing to things are fixing to not go well for you. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and put you in a timeout. Man has the right to speak as he will, but I ain't trying to look at it. Speak as you will on your own channel. YouTube has got to be the most volatile comment place and has been forever. The most volatile, horrible. People will just say anything in the comments to a YouTube video. It's like people have no couth. They have no. I don't get it. I don't get why people would just make themselves look like an ass. And I'm not saying, Joseph, I'm not saying that that's necessarily you, but you definitely kind of teetering on the edge of just saying some dumb shit. Come on, bro. We don't need that. I mean, I say some dumb shit myself, but do I bone sheep? Come on, get real, dude. That's ridiculous. I'm here for you guys. That's what I'm talking about. See, now that's me saying some dumb shit. Deep Purple. That would have been cool. That would have been real cool. Yeah, see, those types of situations, if you can be in a semi-controlled situation of like going to a Pink Floyd show or something like that, I can totally get that. Justin Lloyd again with the super chat. Thank you so much, sir, man. I appreciate that. Now, your questions get answered 100% when you send a super chat like that, guys. Let's see. My thoughts on Israel Regardie. I think that Israel Regardie did a fantastic job of preserving the Golden Dawn material. Like, early on years ago, like Israel Regardie was the one who was putting out all of that Golden Dawn stuff, all of the, ceremonial magic stuff, and a lot of work on the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life and stuff. I think that as far as that is concerned, Israel Regardie did a fantastic job. Actually, where I'm from in Fort Worth, some of my friends in Dallas years ago back in the day got to meet Israel Regardie and stuff. I don't know exactly where or how that came about, but Israel Regardie was kind of a part of the scene there at some point, and a couple of cats that I know knew him. I mean, he did a lot. He did a lot, and he said some pretty horrible things about Crowley, if I recall correctly, a couple times. But there's no question that he did a lot to preserve a lot of materials and allow, kind of this new renaissance of ceremonial magic and stuff that happened in the 80s and the 90s. Super chat? Oh, achieved. Did I spell it wrong? No, come on. Did I? No. I before E except after C. That's what they taught us in school. Did I break that? I may have. Oops. Man, that kind of sucks. I got to get those new fireworks bumpers queued up as quick as possible. I appreciate you pointing that out. I'm a stickler for spelling and punctuation and shit. Now you're gonna make me Google it. I can't imagine that I wouldn't have Googled it. All right, I was right. Let me look again here. Now you're gonna make me look back at it again. EI, yeah, it's EI, bro. Is it? I guess not. Okay. I spent way too much time on that. I'm officially an idiot. There's a video. I'd like to see that. I wasn't aware there was one. Of there's a clip of Regardie reciting the Bornless ritual. '93 Mark Powers. You've been on my Facebook forever. What's up? Or are you the one who's on my Facebook but not on my Facebook? Man, now I'm scared to play my super chat bumper again. It's funny how I remember people's names who are on my Facebook, even if we haven't had very much contact. Uh, it's, I don't know what it is about me and names, but I remember people's names. Like one guy refriended me, I don't know, earlier this year, and he couldn't believe that something happened to his other account, and he couldn't believe. And I was like, no, I remember you. You've been on my list for years, man. And he's like, but we've never talked or anything. And I'm like, well, I see your posts every once in a while, and you like my stuff and whatever. And it's weird how I have like almost 5,000 people on Facebook, and I don't really see most of their posts, but I still, like, over the years have, I guess it goes in waves, and I see everybody here and everybody there, and I don't know. I just have a good memory for names or something, I guess. Let's see if I missed anything. Justin, I don't know if that was a $10 answer, but it's about the best I could do. I really appreciate you supporting the channel with the super chats. Um, I'd give you a more comprehensive answer even more if I could, but Israel Regardie was never really my thing. I mean, I did have some of his books, and Garden of Pomegranates was a really good book on the Tree of Life that was helpful to me. But just kind of a straight up, straightforward Thilima guy. Since I transitioned from Wicca to Thilima, I just I know I probably should venture outside of that a lot more, but I just don't. Especially since I've become more of an atheist in my old age, I just kind of stick with the foundational material of Thilima. That's fine. You can be remembered as the person who told me I misspelled something. I thank you for telling me I misspelled something. Now, every time somebody gives me a super chat during this, I'm going to be mortified that I have to play that, and that will then serve as motivation for me to go and finish up the new ones. Because I don't know if you were in here, but 4th of July we popped a bunch of fireworks, and I took a bunch of clips to make into new super chat bumpers. Because that one is just something that I threw up off of a clip on YouTube and just kind of shit it together real quick for my second live stream. That's the problem, guys, is that I sit down to do a live stream, but I don't have a lot of time to prepare. And there's most of the time, although it seems like it would be easy for me to just drive and then stop and get on the laptop, but man, I'll tell you what, driving 8, 9, 10, 11 hours a day is taxing, even though it's not physically demanding. You're ready to eat something and go to bed when you get stopped. And so it's hard for me to sit down and create bumpers and come up with content for live streams and stuff, just because I'm tired, guys. It's not just about the driving and stuff either. It's the weird schedule, I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and, drive till 4, and, and sometimes that's cut up real bad and I have to drive until later, and sometimes I have to wake up earlier, and sometimes I don't have to wake up till later. So the sleep schedule gets all off, and it makes it to where when you hit a couple of really hard 10-hour driving days, you're tore up. Yeah, it's okay, Joseph. Sorry for being all dictatorial and muting you and stuff, but yeah, I don't mind joking around, bro. Really seriously, but that was just a little too much. I don't mind a whole lot of stuff. You just got deeper into the Tree of Life. You bought the Big Golden Dawn book. Just looking around, there's a lot to learn. There is a ton of stuff to learn about the Tree of Life. My advice would be, don't get too terribly caught up in it. I use it as a as a way to file things, to categorize things, and a way to create rituals is mostly how I use it. If I was going to create a love spell, I would go to the sphere that relates to that, and I would look in 777 and pull out things for the ritual: incense, tarot card, colors, all that kind of stuff to use in the construction of the ritual. It's also good for meditation purposes. I never have been able to force myself to go really delve into the paths really deep. I mostly just work with the spheres. I know a lot of people get into it and they go a lot deeper into it, but Honestly, over the years, I've found that people tend to use it as a tool for mental masturbation rather than doing the work. They think about the work too much and they get trapped in that mindset. And the Kabbalah aids toward that, and numerology in particular, both of those things tend to push people towards doing it in their head more than actually doing it in the world. And I used to call them Hodians. Hode, they're stuck in Hode, or they get stuck in this mental aspect of overthinking everything and overanalyzing everything instead of just using it in the real world. Well, thanks for being here, Rise. I appreciate it. 93. How long have we been on, by the way? Let me see. Does it even tell me that? Oh, an hour. A little over an hour. That's not too bad. They usually run over an hour. So anybody else got any questions? Any super chats? I'm surprised I haven't had to whip this one out yet. Usually there's always some people in here asking me questions about their personal lives, and I have to kind of say, hey, I'm not your life coach. It does sound like a race from Star Wars. Hodians. I don't know where that came from, just something I came up with years ago, because it used to bother me so much on the internet that people were just like, well, it relates to Kesed and Geburah and, the number 45. And, and I'm like, dude, but what does it mean in the real world? Like, all that really means nothing, because Ben, I think it's out of the bag. But EIO 131 will often say, kablah blah. He says kablah blah. I love that. I want to just steal that from him so much, kablah blah, because that's basically what it is. These guys will just overthink it and overanalyze it so much. When you can tell from the way that they express their ideas and the ideas that they express, you can kind of tell that they have no real knowledge of the subject. Like, they have this technical mental knowledge of the subject, but they haven't been doing the practices for a long time and gained this real world understanding, and been able to translate that into the real world rather than just on paper. Why would it be necessary for me to know what a spank bank is, Joseph? What does that have to do with anything in here? Well, Zan, I think there is benefit to learning some things that aren't necessarily applicable in the real world. I do think that the theories behind some things are important, but I think that there's a point that it really goes overboard, where it really people get stuck in this loop of overthinking things. And, you try to have a conversation or a debate with them on the internet, and they're more concerned about the meaning of the fucking words and trying to just obfuscate because they don't really understand the things in real life, but they do have an understanding of all of these academic aspects of them. And it just leads to confusion for people that are onlooking and aggravation for people like me who are like, yes, you're right, I don't understand all of this technical jargon that you're going on and on about because it's meaningless. It means nothing. Like, it's so agitating. I have to ask myself, Joseph, if you're like young, if you're like, are you like 16 or something? Is that why you're like obsessed with making comments like that? Are you like a kid? I mean, I give you a little leeway if you're a kid, because I know you guys just trying to be silly and think you're funny and stuff. But yeah, kind of inappropriate. Grow up. He just wants my reaction. Well, he's fixed to get a reaction. You're quite old. Hmm. I can't tell. Yeah, Caligula, I agree. There are a lot of things that you learn to help define what you do with things in the real world, and that help you have context for things in the real world. So yeah, things that are not necessarily practically applicable that are helpful. But then there's a certain point where it goes overboard and it becomes unbalanced is the word I guess I should use. Justin, it's good to learn about the Kabbalah. Don't get me wrong when I say blah blah and all this stuff. It is good to learn about the Kabbalah. Just my point was just like don't be one of these people who takes it overboard and like overanalyzes everything from a numerical perspective. Because the tree of life more or less is a system of categorization. It can also be a meditation system when used in that way. But more or less it's a way to categorize things and a way to group things together. And it is very beneficial to learn the basics of that so that you can quickly, like if you want to create a ritual or something like that, you can quickly categorize things into the spheres and then use that to go and then pull out the elements that you want to use in your ritual. Like I said before, the incense and the colors and the different things, the god forms and stuff that you might want to employ in a ritual. I think the problem comes when people try to like ascribe these super deep supernatural meanings, not necessarily meanings, but it's hard. I'm kind of an atheist, and I know a lot of Thelemites aren't. There are a lot of us who are as well, but it's hard for me not to just say it's all a bunch of bullshit, because it's not on a psychological level, and it's not bullshit. I wouldn't say that, but it's just people put a lot more weight on the supernatural part of it than they should, in my opinion. And I think that Crowley designed the system in part, at least partially, with all of the skepticism built in and the journaling and stuff. I think he kind of designed the system so that after you actually physically do the work for a number of years and journal and do the stuff in Libra O and Libra E and stuff, you kind of come to this realization that the supernatural it's really not. There are natural things that appear to be supernatural, but there is no spirit and God and all of this stuff. And I think that although Crowley spoke in those terms 90% of the time, there's also these gems in there where he speaks in totally atheist terms, and they kind of put a fine point on some of the other things he talked about. It's very nuanced, and I think he tried to design the system to appeal to a very broad audience, and maybe that's why he did it, or maybe he really was kind of an atheist at heart. I really don't know. Hi, Garrett. I don't really, I have not really studied like the language of desire and all the spare stuff. I just know that that dude was an amazing artist. I mean, I haven't really studied his system, so I couldn't really offer you anything on that. Thunderbird, Thunderbird 93, sir. Lama Duquette is a fantastic human being. I have a lot of his books signed. I've met him multiple times. He's a really cool cat, man, and he is just, his legacy is going to be that he just taught everybody so much, and you know, he's a great dude, and one of his books really helped me turn the corner back in the day when I was struggling to understand the way Crowley wrote rituals and to understand Thilima, the magic of Thilima. I think it's now called The Magic of Aleister Crowley or something, but it used to be called The Magic of Thilima, and it was updated. That book really helped me turn a corner. Yeah, I owe Lon a lot, you know, and he's a fantastic musician, a fantastic lecturer. I don't know if you've ever seen him lecture in person, but he's fantastic. He's just funny, adds humor, and, you know, gets points across. I got a lot of respect for Lama Duquette. He's a fantastic guy. Highly recommend his work to all of you. I have to shut it down pretty soon. I'm starting to get tired. I'm about ready to get something to eat. This truck stop has been closed down. A dump truck like ran down a telephone pole in front of the truck stop and blew the power out. And it happened while I was in the shower. And luckily I had already rinsed off and I was able to finish up. But the power went out and they closed the whole location, so I couldn't get any real food. It sucks. So I'm kind of looking forward to, I'm hoping they've got it back open again so I can grab something to eat after I shut this off. Should depressed people avoid Thilima? I wouldn't say necessarily that depressed people should avoid Thilima. I think that it's something that could offer them focus, but I do think that there are pitfalls for people with mental illness, and I have seen some people with mental illness fall off the deep end with Thilima and think that they're, you know, with the whole holy guardian angel, schizophrenics can get really fucked up over that, you know. But I think that if understood properly, and I think that's the caveat, is that a lot of people, it takes a while, and a lot of people don't really have a very good understanding of what the system is because of all the mumbo jumbo that's mixed around in it. And so with the proper understanding of Thilima, I think that it can really provide focus and intention to depressed people and people with certain types of mental illnesses, perhaps. But it's just so hard to get to that point. It really is, guys. It's hard to get to that point to where you move from trying to figure out what's really going on and not really understanding things to having a solid understanding. And that's part of the reason for the Oz Speaks videos, is that I like to kind of help people through that process and to come to a more, what is in my view, a more proper understanding of what Thilima is about, because it can be hard to wade through the material. You know, the material can be misleading, and it can be very complicated to people, and it was certainly to me in the beginning, and it was years before I really came to understand it as, you know, some semblance of how I understand it today. So I don't know, I hope that was a helpful answer. I don't think that people who are depressed should avoid Thilima, but I think that there are many different degrees of depression and mental illness, and so I think that the people on the higher end of that spectrum could be negatively affected, especially people with other types of mental illness like schizophrenia. But just somebody who's just basically depressed, no, I don't see any problem with them getting involved with Thilima. Last chance to get your super chats in. I'm going to cut it off here pretty soon. Once again, I did spend $350 today on this software, and it'd be nice to try to start recouping some of that. So I'm not just like being money hungry with you guys. I spend money on this stuff. I've dumped boatloads of money on this stuff over the years. So, you know, if you want to throw me a super chat, that'd be fantastic. If not, that's okay too. It's not all about the money for me, but I do like, even if the bumper's misspelled, I like playing the little bumper, and I like, you know, it makes you feel appreciated. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, guys. I've been putting them, and I don't like spend a whole lot of time on it like I did years ago, but, you know, I have been doing this for a long time, and it's good to feel appreciated. So throw me that super chat if you want, or maybe next time if you can't. Justin, I will make more Oz Speaks videos as time goes on. It's difficult. It's really difficult for me to do right now. And, you know, the topics, like some of the topics, a couple of the topics that I really have been wanted to cover have held me up, because I really think it's important to have a video about AA, and I cannot come up with a way to do it. And it was the same thing with the Is Thilima Satanic video. That one held me up for a long time, because I just wanted to make sure that, I don't know, I get these ideas in my head that I want it to be just right, but then in the end I always end up just sitting down and just doing a brain fart, you know, and I may do it several times and do some edits to get it to my satisfaction, but I always have these big ideas about how I want to present things, and then it always just comes out as me bullshitting with people and, you know, just telling it how it is, which is kind of why I named it Oz Speaks, as you will. It's just my style, you know what I mean? That's what I do. I've been doing this for a long time, and for many years I felt really apprehensive about, like, giving my own opinions and my own views. And over the years, a lot of people that I respect have told me, man, you know a lot more than you think you do, and you sell yourself short. And, you know, over the last couple of years, you know, I've started to kind of embrace that, because it is true that I've been doing this for a really long time, and I do have a lot of real world experience, and, you know, a million stories that I can't even tell here on YouTube. So, you know, I do think that my opinion is worth something. And but yeah, I will definitely be making more Oz Speaks videos in the future. They may be few and far between, but the series will continue until I feel like I've put the things out there that need to be out there. It's kind of like with the readings. You know, I did the readings until I felt like I had most of the stuff that I wanted to have out there, and then now I've kind of moved in a different direction. And early on, to be honest, there was a whole lot of me spewing opinions and going back and forth with people on YouTube and stuff, and I removed all that stuff at a certain point and allowed it to focus on the readings. And now we've just kind of moved into a new chapter of the channel. I'm not saying I'll never do a reading again. You know, it's possible I might put some readings up here or there, but I think moving forward we're sticking with more a format of me kind of teaching and putting my music up and doing these live streams, and that's where it's at for now and for the foreseeable future. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to play us out, and if you guys want to leave a super chat, if you appreciated the video, the stream, you can leave a super chat while it's playing out. And thanks a lot, man. We'll do it again soon. 93.